All right, folks, welcome back. Joining us right now on the panel of the Steve Malzberg Show is Ron Christie, Republican strategist, and our friend, the one and only John Fund, Newsmax contributor. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so we were just talking, I was just talking about the revolt from the Foreign Service, the union representing the Foreign Service membership, the American Foreign Service Association. They're really ticked off. They're ticked off that Obama is making a mockery out of presenting ambassadorial nominees who are very unqualified, who have never even been to the country they're nominated to serve in. And, it all boils down to the fact that they raised, as bundlers, anywhere from $500,000 to over $1 million for Obama. I mean, John, this is maybe, it's not totally unusual for cronyism and ambassadorial appointees, but this seems to take it to a newer, lower level or higher level, however you want to look at it.
Well, look, every president does this. That's fine. I don't have a problem with political ambassadors. However, it's one thing to do it. It's another thing to put on public display and humiliate the host country by showing the world exactly who you're sending. I mean, a soap opera producer who knows nothing about the country of Hungary, which actually is geopolitically important, a guy who doesn't speak Spanish, has never been to Argentina, a guy who literally does not know who's in the government of Norway. I mean, it's embarrassing. And I understand that there have been disasters in the past, but there was a panel of 3 last week, and all 3 were klutzes.
Yeah, it was like I just said, because Jon Stewart played the video. We just played it. And I said it was, Ron, it was like a Saturday Night Live skit.
I know. And the fact that the administration would send these folks up to Capitol Hill without any real training or background is humiliating enough for our country to begin with. But what President Obama is violating here is something called the 70-30 rule. Traditionally, you send 70% of your ambassadors, folks who have come up through the ranks within the career service from the Foreign Service Ministry, and then the 30% of the patronage. At this point in this term, President Obama's nominations have been 52% political. So he's violating the spirit of, frankly, the patronage system here to put his cronies in. And as John noted, it's absolutely abhorrent to me that you would send folks up who don't speak the language, don't understand the political culture and the sensitivities, and frankly, I guarantee you those folks don't want these Americans representing us in their capital.
Yeah, would make sense. All right, let's go back. I had Andy McCarthy on earlier after you gentlemen in the previous hour, and we talked specifically about Obama and the Affordable Care Act and changing the law, changing the dates, et cetera, which we touched on in the previous hour with the 3 of us. But what he did was he created a law. He created a rider to the illegal waiver that he announced the other day, and now small businesses, guys, are going to have to swear under oath with the threat of penalty and perjury staring them in the face to the IRS that if they fire an employee or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10, that they didn't fire those employees with consideration of getting down under the Obamacare number limit in mind. So I said to Andy, who's qualified to answer this more than me, I said, how could he do this? Where did this come from? He said he just made up a law. I mean, where is this going to end, John?
You say small businesses have left to swear. I think a lot of the swearing that's going on in this country is people swearing at Obama's disastrous implementation of this law. Look, this is just making it up as you go along. This is what the divine right of kings is all about. The king wakes up one morning and decides, I think I'll do this. I think I'll do that. We did have an American Revolution to try to get away from this and to try to, shall we say, formalize our system of government.
Yeah, well, Ron, I mean, what would you advise the Republican Party, as a Republican strategist who's worked in the Bush White House, what would you advise them to do here? I mean, they have the power of the purse on one hand, and they have the power of impeaching the President of the United States on the other. But I say, no matter what road they choose to go down, if they do choose to go down one, they have to educate the public first to justify their actions. They're not getting the word out. Something like this should be a red flag to everyone in the country, but they're not talking about it.
They're not, and I think the third branch of government, the judiciary, is going to sit back and wait to see what the Congress does or doesn't do. I don't think they're going to wade in on their own. as a lawyer, I can tell you in order for the Republicans to sue, they would have to have legal standing. That is, they would have to demonstrate to the court that they have been aggrieved in some way, shape, or form. Similar to what we've seen with the Affordable Care Act and making people buy contraception, Steve, I think what the Republicans need to do is find a small business owner, find a individual who's been aggrieved by the wishy-washy, unilateral, I'll make it up as I go along nature of Obamacare, and then have them file suit, of which the government could then file a front of the court brief. But the Republicans have to stand up and stop this lawlessness, and I'm just very disappointed, to be honest with you, that we've heard barely a peep from Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I mean, John, to me, it's par for the course. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to get the message out. But, again, they don't have the standing to go to court, but they do have the power of the purse. If they decided one day by some miracle to exercise that, they'd be blasted by the media. But if they start explaining what's going on here, or if they go down the impeachment route one day, they can't just do it out of the blue. They have to be prepping the people, laying the groundwork, and they just are not doing that.
Look, impeachment is a political act, and it's not a legal act. I think we need to take impeachment off of the table because it's not going to happen. A Senate with 55 Democrats is never going to convict the president.
Well, it's not going to happen now. I mean, they could convict him after the next election.
Steve, it's not going to happen. So I think what Ron and I would agree on is I think that you can find through creative legal work people who can sue and do have standing in these cases, and I do think you have to bring them forward. And by the way, 9 times the Supreme Court has unanimously ruled the Obama administration has exceeded its authority. It's a slow, painful process, but if you get these cases before the court's not amused by about these stunts from Obama's White House. They're not amused.
All right, one more for both of you. Let's start with you, John, and that is the Eric Holder urging states, really, really urging them, if you know what I mean, to pass laws that allow felons who have paid their debt to society to be able to vote. What's your take on that? Is it Andy McCarthy said there's kind of a veiled implication or threat there that I may be powerless to do it myself, but I could take you to court and make your life miserable if you don't do what I'm asking you to do.
Well, I haven't seen any implicit threat there. If there is one, I think that's unfortunate. Eric Holder has just as much right as anyone else to demand that states change their felon laws. Each state is a different story. The Constitution specifically gives the state the right to determine who should have their civil rights taken away and when they should be restored. My view is that the people behind Eric Holder, and Eric Holder himself, basically don't want any restrictions whatsoever. But, it's in our American tradition that if you violate the law, you have violated your trust. And there are certain crimes, and for certain periods of time, you should not be entitled to decide who does write the laws that you have so wantonly broken.
Yeah, what about it, Ron?
I think that's exactly right. And I think the framers were very clear and not really putting that many restrictions at the right to vote at the federal level. And as Johnson noted, we have this ability at the states. And I do think it's a threat. I think Eric Holder has been one of the most abusive attorney generals in the United States history. Talking about my people, talking about America, and of course, being cowards when it comes to discussions of race. So I wouldn't put anything past this guy. And oh, by the way, did you notice that the person that they put up for the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department is the same lawyer who tried to get off a notorious cop killer,
Abu Mujib? Yeah, absolutely. Look, you can't make this up. I mean, we could have tried to predict what would happen in the year 2008 after the election, but I don't think any of us would have gone this far on any circumstance. Hey guys, thank you very much. We'll speak to you, Ron, in the next hour. John Fund, have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. John Fund, Newsmax contributor. Ron Christie, Republican strategist. When we come back, the great Walter E. Williams, economist and syndicated columnist, and he wrote a great piece. What is poverty? What is poverty in the United States of America in the year 2014? It certainly isn't what you grew up thinking poverty was. We'll talk about it on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax Television.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Imagine